I think we only have 3 at this point.
Councilman Michelle.
He is not on yet. And I did send the link out. It does work, I promise. It should only be another video. Check my email, make sure that there's no issues in there.
Councilwoman Vaughn is on.
Yep, I see. We have a form now, man. If you give me a second, I'll put the statement up for you, man. Yep, I see. We have a form now, man.
I have it right here in my hand.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good evening, ladies and
If you
gentlemen.
give me a second, I'll put the statement up for you, man. Yep, I see. We have a form now,
has been given in accordance with your
yes, ma'am. Mr. Blakely. Mr. Blakely is absent. Mr. Blakely. Colwell Wilson.
Present.
Mr. Blakely is Harrison. Mr. Blakely. Colwell Wilson.
Present.
Mr. Harrison, Harrison from a number device. No, I see you.
Present.
Mr. Michelle. Mr. Harrison, Harrison from a number device. No, I see you.
Michelle. Present.
Mr. Michelle. Mr. Rodriguez. Harrison from a number device. No, I see you.
Mr. Michelle.
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez. Harrison from a number device. No, I see you.
Present.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Harrison from a number
Present.
Present.
Yes.
Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams.
I'm present. Good evening.
Present.
Present.
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Present. I'm present. Good evening. Present.
Yes.
Present.
Present.
I'm present. Good evening. Present.
Yes.
Present.
Present.
I'm present.
Anybody from the law department here?
Yes.
Present.
Mr. Conlon, can
Yes, ma'am.
can I ask Mr. Cruz to please get someone on from the law department based on the after we come out of executive session, we will need someone.
Executive
Yes.
session, ma'am.
Madam President, I'm reaching out to him right now.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Wilson.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Douglas.
Mr. Douglas.
I know he was scheduled to be here. He'll be here. Mr. Daniels.
Present. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Dr. Lopez indicated that she would not be here this evening due to a family matter. She indicated that Ms. Yvette Graffy Cooper would be here. Ms. Cooper, are you here, ma'am?
Yes, good evening. Present.
Good evening, ma'am. Director Onatieri, Mr. Onatieri. Director Richardson.
Present.
Onatieri, take yourself off of mute, sir. Director
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Onatieri.
I can't see whether he's here or not.
Director Onatieri, could you take yourself off mute?
I see he is.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Present.
And Mr. Douglas, are you here, sir?
I'm sorry?
Mr. Douglas, are you here?
Mr. Onatiri is present.
I got him, ma'am. I got him, I promise you. And, Mr. Lavenberg.
Good evening, present.
Good evening, sir. And Mr. Zelinski.
Present.
Good evening. Council President, the directors are here as noted. Would you like to proceed?
Yes, please.
Council President, we did have one housekeeping item for the budget. The decision was made due to various reasons to move the budget hearing to October 5th. But that actually would, because we have advertised the budget, that would have to be done by a formal motion. And you can adjourn a meeting to any time thereafter in your discretion, but it would have to be done by formal motion. If you want to ask Mr. Kaloji about it, I'm sure Mr. Kaloji is aware of it. But it would have to formally be adjourned from September 30th to October 5th.
So do I need to put a motion on the floor to adjourn it?
That would be the motion, ma'am, if you wanted to.
Yes, I would like to enter a motion to adjourn the budget meeting from September the 30th to August the 5th.
October the 5th?
Excuse me, I apologize.
I got
I'm
you.
going back.
That'd be a long wait.
Oh, my goodness.
I do have a motion. I do have a motion, Council President, to adjourn the budget hearing from September, now I'm saying August, September 30th to October 5th, 2021. I have a second by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson, and I'll call the roll. Mr. Blakely, have you arrived? Mr. Blakely is marked as absent. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle? Mr. Michelle is absent. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Council President McBride?
Yes.
The budget hearing is adjourned to October 5th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. I will make the advertisement in the newspaper. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Council President, would you like me to proceed to docket review?
I would like for you to proceed. Yes.
Thank you, Council President.
We're going into the executive session first.
No, ma'am. The executive session is on Thursday.
Okay.
The attorneys were not available for this evening. And
Okay. Great. All right. Good thing.
On the docket, we are almost done with we're into some council meetings that are 10, 12 hours long. So we're almost done with the September set of meetings for the minutes. They will be up for the next meeting in October, and we have more staff, so we'll be getting those done. There are, there are 76 communications and petitions on the docket for approval on the meeting. In the clerk's office, there will be the July 2020 clerk's office financial report. I will have the August and September at the next meeting. And there will be 4 raffles for consideration, 4 raffle applications for consideration on the docket for the council's approval. There will be no second reading and public hearings. Council President, would you like me to proceed to the resolutions?
Yes, please.
First, for consideration of from the city clerk's office is resolution 21-259. This is a resolution supporting Bill 4656, which authorizes the creation of local civilian review boards to review police operations and conduct. Floor is open. Council President, would you like this to be added to the roll call or consent agenda?
Consent agenda. No one has any questions.
Ma'am, this is the one that I spoke about with regard to the law department review.
What? Give me the number.
This, Council President?
Go right ahead, Councilwoman.
Yeah, on this resolution, I have a note, and I have a memorandum here. It said that there will be a new version of this.
Yeah, there was. This is based upon the old version, but I never actually got permission to move the new version to the floor. This version is a much older version of the bill, and one of the problems with this is that it actually has items, I believe, in it that would not otherwise that weren't ultimately adopted in neither the Assembly or the Senate bill. At Mr. Rodriguez's request, I did draft a new version, but Mr. Rodriguez wanted to defer to what Mr. Blakely wanted to do. Mr. Blakely's not here to speak to this resolution today. But there was an issue or two with there was an earlier version of the bill, and I think the bill got changed from between when Mr. Blakely presented this and it came to the floor. So I didn't know if you wanted to still consent agenda that.
The thing about it, Mr. Conlon, is when we addressed this resolution prior to tonight, Councilman Rodriguez had agreed to the changes. So once he said that he couldn't move forward with the changes, this resolution should be removed from the docket because it does not have any of the statutes that was put forth with the state. And so why would we be adopting this? Why would we be adopting?
Well, that was just what I wanted to point out, at the beginning, because if you put it in the consent agenda, it will be adopted with the remainder of the consent agenda. But for the member who put it forward, I never actually received any direction otherwise, whether to remove it, proceed with it, change it to Mr. Rodriguez's version, or otherwise. So, I just wanted, it's up to you all ultimately what you wanted to do. But I did want to know, just some of the inconsistencies, and if you do adopt it, you are endorsing it as it was presented.
So I'm gonna ask for this to be tabled. Councilman Blakely should have been here to either consent to the changes that should take place or to table it himself. So I'll ask that it be tabled based on the fact that it has none of these statutes in it that the state requires for a resolution of this sort.
And that motion should be properly made on Thursday. For right now, would you like to put it on the roll call so then we can call it the table?
And then we can table it. Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'll move it to roll call, and then you can move, and I'll make note of on Thursday, we can make a motion to table if you wanted to table it for further review. Next, we have Resolution 21-391, a resolution urging the elimination of memorandums of understanding imposing oversight by the State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs into governance of the City of Trenton.
I'm sorry. I just want to say, so are we voting to table it, or that's going to be done on?
Yeah, it'll be done on Thursday, ma'am. It's just this is roll call or consent agenda, time for questions and answers, etc.
Yep.
This is, and I apologize, the version I actually had of this had Mr. Rodriguez's name in here. I'm not sure what happened there, so I will make sure, Mr. Rodriguez, that it was typed in there, but I think the earlier version was put in. But
you said that you were going to change it.
I did.
According to the Senate bill, not to the Assembly bill. This is
we're on the next. We're on 391, sir. This is the next resolution.
391?
Yes, sir.
Somebody wants it to be tabled?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
The public version. I typed your name in per your request, and the version that I have here.
Yes, I like to see my names in the resolution that I put.
So whatever.
But I like to say something.
Mr. Rodriguez, hold on.
And she loves her dad, and she was like.
Thank you. I appreciate the music.
Council President?
Go right ahead, Councilwoman.
391?
But I think that Councilman Rodriguez was back on 21-259. I needed to know if he was finished with his questioning in reference to that resolution. Councilman Rodriguez, are you finished?
Well, I'm ready to say something about 391. The other one, I don't know why it was in the docket, because that couldn't be in the docket.
Yeah, because that's Mr. Blake's
259 could not be in the docket.
That's Mr. Blakely's resolution, sir.
Yeah, but we talk about that afterwards, that that assembly bill was not, was gonna be adapted with the Senate bill. And there's some
That's correct,
differences
sir.
between these
And-
ones.
And I did actually draft a resolution to that, sent it up to law. But it's,
Mr. Ingram, could you please silence yourself?
I haven't received permission from the member to update the resolution is what the issue is. And it is his resolution. If you wanted to introduce that resolution separately, I'd be happy to do that. But it was suggested as a replacement for that resolution. So without, I did solicit the member's consent to do that. I have not yet heard back from the member, sir.
Well, it's Mr. Blakely's original resolution, so I'll let him deal with it.
That's correct, sir, and that's what I'm waiting on. So I will reach out to Mr. Blakely again before Thursday, and we can, we can update it accordingly. But this is back to Resolution 21-391, sir. I'm sorry, sir, were you done with the 259?
All right, so Councilwoman Vaughn, go right ahead for 21-391.
Yes, I would just ask, this is a resolution that I believe many of our council members have spoken about. I had initially introduced it when I first came onto council. Concerns about the memorandum of understanding that's been imposed upon the city of Trenton for nearly a decade. I know that even the mayor, when he first came in 2018, he had negotiations with the governor, Governor Phil Murphy, to have removed the memorandum. And of course, there were talks along to renegotiate. So there has been a lot of fluctuation with this agreement. And it's time that either we retire it permanently or work with legal expertise to renegotiate it, so that it's a win-win for the city of Trenton and it's not such a one-way street where the state has total control and exercises at whim. I would ask Mr. Rodriguez if my name could also be on this piece of legislation.
Definitely.
Okay, and that's all I could say. And I hope that we all, as a council, as a city, as a mayor, work diligently to affect this piece of this agreement. It has been very stifling for our city. We have not been able to progress forward with it. The state has not been a good partner, an honest partner. And to my opinion, they've been negligent in their duties, in their own role in this agreement. They have not governed properly or in good faith. So I think it should be done away with. And thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, for bringing it forward again. And I'm happy to co-sponsor with you and thank you for allowing me to do so. I yield my time, Council President.
If there's no one else to speak to this ordinance, then this is a roll call.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Conlon.
Yes, ma'am. Move this to the roll call. Move this to the roll call. Next, we have Resolution 21-392, a resolution urging the governor and state legislature to restore capital city aid to the city of Trenton.
Madam President.
Go right ahead, Councilman Rodriguez.
I have something to say about this. I think in 2010, the city of Trenton was getting approximately $35 million or more from the state as capital city aid. That was in lieu of the taxes that they are not paying the city. The state owns almost half of the properties in Trenton. We don't get any payment for that. thanks to Councilwoman Bond, she convinced Senator Turner to give us $10 million, which was great. But it's about time that we go back to what we were getting before. The state owes us money, owes us millions of dollars. They shortchanged us. That was, they claimed that in 2010 they got rid of the capital city aid because the state was under an economic depression or whatever. But now, like a year afterwards, that economic situation was resolved, but the capital city aid was not put back. So they, instead of capital city aid, they started us with $25 million on transitional aid. Transitional aid is a complete different element. Transitional aid are for cities that are under distress economically, yes. But the reason Trenton became distressed economically was because the state took our capital city aid money away from us. Then they gave us 25 million, then went down to 12 million. And I believe the last 2 years we have been getting less than $5 million worth of that money. Now we should go back to getting what we are entitled to, which if in 2010 was 35 million, we should be getting close to 50 million by now, because of the inflation and all that stuff. So I believe that we should all support this. The administration should gladly support the resolution because it will bring us a little bit more money than we're getting now. And I believe that we should all fight, administration, city council, the residents, everybody should fight for this to get paid for that tax money that we are losing because the state is occupying those buildings. If those buildings were privately owned, they'll be paying a lot of taxes to the city, more than $50 million. That it's very unfair for the state to keep us first due to the elimination of the capital city aid. That's why we got the transitional aid, and with the transitional aid, we got the memorandum of understanding that tie our hands to our backs. We cannot hire, we cannot fire, we cannot do anything in the city unless we get permission from the state or the Department of Community Affairs, which is very unfair. So I urge my colleagues to vote for this, and I urge the administration to support council on this endeavor so that we can at least get rid of this MOU and get the fair amount of money from the state. Thank you.
You may continue.
Council President?
Yes.
Yes, for 21-392, I will also again kindly ask Councilman Santiago Rodriguez, could I co-sponsor this piece of legislation with him and add my name to the resolution? And I concur with all his statements about the state of New Jersey, that they have not paid their fair share of the tax burden here in the city. And that has had a crippling impact on the businesses and the residents here that are struggling to keep up with the rate of increases that have been steadily applied year after year after year. It's unsustainable. The city residents, the businesses cannot carry that burden, and the mayor cannot continue to increase the tax rates on the residents and the businesses of the city. What the mayor must do, he must go out, instead of pushing tax liens, accelerated tax liens, and raising taxes at will. It seems that our tax bills are changing willy-nilly, and we're not even being communicated to by our own government as to the taxation requirements. And I'm telling you that we're at an impasse here. The city is being choked out. We cannot afford any more tax increases. And the mayor is negligent if he does not go out to the governor and to the state and to negotiate with them to ensure that they're meeting their burden too, and they're paying their fair share of the taxes in the city of Trenton. So I support this, and I look forward to working with Councilwoman Rodriguez and the mayor, or whoever that may be, to have this conversation with the governor and leadership at the state legislature. Thank you, Council.
Madam President,
Yes, go right ahead.
not only Councilwoman Bond's name should be there, everybody in council to sponsor both of my resolutions, this one and the one on the MOU. I urge everybody to add their names to it because it's for our city, it's for our benefit, and it's coming from City Council. So everybody should be a sponsor on this. And thank you, Ms. Bond.
So
Council Vice President. Council Vice President.
Council Vice President.
Sorry, Council President. Sorry. I just would like to say, our last budget, we did not have a tax increase. So, we should be, choose better words when we say that we're raising taxes. The last budget, we did not raise taxes. Thank you.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead, Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson.
Yeah, and I happen to agree with my colleagues. If our capital city aid was increased, not only would we be able to push for a tax decrease because the overburdens of the taxes, the property taxes, are driving people out of their homes in this city. So, and also will give the city an opportunity to hire more people in the police department and the professionals that we need in City Hall. Thank you.
So in reference to 21-339, as far as I am concerned, this is a prime example of how Mayor Gusiora is leading the city. He should be leading this conversation. This is a very important piece of legislation. The mayor should be leading this conversation based on his campaign promise. His campaign promise when he came on board, he campaigned that he was going to get us out of the MOU. The day of the inauguration, Murphy put a big ad or had a big statement in the Trentonian stating that he was not going to take us from under the MOU, and the 321-392, Councilwoman Vaughn and Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson has been championed for us to get the capital city aid, because the council women both stated that we would perform much better if we were not getting monies under the MOU, transitional aid, but if we were getting our due dollars that are due to us in the capital city aid. In lieu of the taxes, they would be paying us $45 million. So if they don't want to pay us the $45 million, at least they can up that capital city aid to $20 million at least. So again, I support this. I think my name doesn't have to be on the title because my vote will speak volume. Mr. Collins, we may continue.
Would you like this on the roll call or consent agenda, ma'am?
Roll call.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have resolution 21-424. This is a resolution of the city of Trenton in the county of Mercer, state of New Jersey, authorizing the making of an application to the local finance board and the Division of Local Government Services, New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, to dissolve the parking authority of the city of Trenton, assume its operations, and assume outstanding bonds.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, of course, I would like this roll called. I would say that There's an ordinance that supplements this. Parking is one of our main sources of revenue that supplements our budget or any municipal budget. Every city and municipality has have utilities that are there and have been defined to support shortfalls in the budget to produce surplus revenue to help supplement the cost of services, meaning the budget. So the parking authority, parking utility. The main difference is that the parking authority was created by the council to perform the functions that a council would perform, and making decisions on redevelopment and making certain that certain levels of revenues are generated annually to support the budget. So every now and then, a council may decide to farm out certain functions that a municipal council performs by creating authorities to do that and act autonomously to do that. But every now and then, as time goes on, there may be a time for folks to relook at the structure of government and see what's working and what's not working. And the parking authority right now, it has been our council, the Trenton Municipal Council, created it in 1948. And the evolution has been such that it has not met the expectation as far as generating the revenue that is expected to help our city progress. So I think it's time for the council, for the mayor, for the residents to reassess and and consolidate the parking authority in our city. Right now, it's very disintegrated. It's not centralized. The functions are not centralized under one centralized organization, meaning the city or the authority. There's street parking, there's garage parking, there's meter operations, and etc. So all those functions should be aggregated under one organization, one strategic management, and one strategic plan. And right now, you got the garages with the parking authority and the lots, and you have the street parking and the meter parking, the kiosks under our traffic and maintenance division under Anthony Santor. But again, this will certainly change the trajectory of our parking capabilities and revenue producing capabilities in the city of Trenton. I think that the parking authority right now has capped out and has realized it's not going to grow. We have no expectation under the current management. It hasn't changed in years, the board makeup, and there has not been any fresh ideas coming out of there as far as redevelopment. Right now, there's proposals that are coming out willy-nilly. They're coming to the city for funding, which is very ironic and actually unacceptable, considering that utilities are supposed to be self-liquidating, and they're supposed to generate revenues sufficient enough to cover its costs, its servicing of bonds, its operating costs, its servicing of bonds, and also generate a surplus so that they have extra income, extra revenue and capital to do supplemental projects and redevelopment projects that can supplement the revenue generating capabilities. And that's not happening. So I believe that it's time to move forward and come up with a new plan for our parking utilities and for all our utilities. Not for nothing, the parking utility is backed by the full faith and credit of the Trenton taxpayers, period. And that's going to be the case whether it's under the authority, rather it's under a bureau, a parking bureau, or rather it's under a parking utility. The residents of Trenton backs 100% the obligations of the Trenton Parking Authority. And if it moves back under, that obligation will still exist. So it's time for us to take it back and grow it accordingly. And that's where we are. And I'm going to in my sentences there. I could talk forever about the authority. I'm going to have an opportunity to do it again, and perhaps I'm going to circulate some information between now and Thursday so that folks can understand what a great asset our parking authority has under it, and the opportunity that the city has to take it back and grow it. Thank you, Council President.
Is there anyone
Council
else?
President?
Yes, go right ahead. Councilman
Yes,
Rodriguez.
I read that ordinance of 1948. Back in 1948, there were not too many cars in Trenton. So the idea of forming the parking authority was great back then. But there's a paragraph that says that the purpose of the parking authority was to build the parking structures in Trenton. And that was accomplished a long time ago. We are not in the process of building any more parking. In Trenton, we don't have space. We probably have to get rid of some of those parking garages rather than building new ones. So the purpose of the housing of the parking authority of 1948 was accomplished, and now it's time for us to take back make it a parking division or whatever. We already are managing the rest of the parking, the meters, everything. So we should join it there and take and keep on paying for those bonds. It's not a new debt because the debt is already there. And but that way, city council and the residents to have more control on our parking utility in Trenton. You know, it's about time that we abolish this monster that we have created, an entity that right now is under investigation, that that name has been in the papers over and over during the past 12 months or so. And I believe that we should abolish it and merge it with the rest of our parking division. Thank you.
If there's no more, we may move on.
Would you please roll call this one, Council President?
Yeah, she asked for a roll call from when she started out.
President McBride, I just want to say that I'm here.
I've marked you as arrived, Mr. Blakely.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Michelle, have you arrived? I think Mr. Michelle's going to be out tonight. It is marked for roll call as well, ma'am.
All righty, thank you. We may continue.
Next, we have resolutions to the Department of Administration, Adam E. Cruz, Business Administrator. First, we have Resolution 21-393, a resolution authorizing the use of competitive contracting in lieu of public bidding for the telecommunications maintenance and programming services.
Madam President,
Go right ahead.
I have a question for, I guess, Mr. Cruz on this. You know, what is the purpose of this? Why are we doing this? What's the advantages to the city?
Hi, Madam President.
Yes, go right ahead.
Hi, good evening. Councilman, good evening. Adam Cruz, Business Administrator. The advantage is that it provides the city the ability to acquire the services from a contractor for a period up to 4 years, rather than having to do this on a year-to-year or a maximum of a couple of years. It gives us a reliable person to continue with the operations. As you can see from the resolution, we just don't have one kind of system. We have various systems in the city, and it is very difficult to find people that have all of the knowledge to be able to put all these systems together to work. So that is why we went to the Department of Community Affairs and request that this service be performed as a competitive contract. And they agree with us, and they gave the city authorization.
So Mr. Kaloji,
Yes, ma'am.
could you just explain the difference between this competitive contracting and the public bidding? Because after that article showed in the papers today. I need clear guidance here.
Well, the general rule, insofar as public bodies are concerned, is that matters are put out to bid. However, the local public contracts law provides a number of exceptions. Certain matters do not have to be bid because of the nature of the particular matter, such as involving a professional service or something along those lines. And there are other vehicles that have been put in the law, I would say, in the last 15 years, such as the competitive contracting provision that you are now referring to, which gives the city the ability to basically go out and negotiate contracts based upon certain specified criteria and regulations without the necessity of bidding. So I'm not familiar with this matter. It has not come across my desk. I'm just generically stating that there is certainly a body of law that allows the city to pursue competitive contracting as opposed to going out to bid. And I'll leave it up to Mr. Cruz to provide the details why in this case it's appropriate, or, answer any other questions.
Well, go right ahead, Councilwoman Vaughn.
Yeah, so I read this resolution, and what came to my mind was the negotiations we did with Verizon and Comcast, and maybe West. Is Mr. Bridges on the line?
He is, ma'am.
Yes, Councilwoman, I am. How are you?
Okay, so we have contracts with various telecommunications companies, right? We have Comcast, Verizon in the city, AT&T, as Mr. Cruz noted in his resolution. So they want to aggregate these services and give these companies extended contracts, or I guess not having to go out to competitive bid to keep a consistent management and service level around the contracts. But my concern is, where's the technology department in this, and is there any overlap? Because some of these services I believe, are redundant in nature, and maybe we should work on consolidating the contracts that exist out of the technology department versus what exists in the operational areas of the city. So, Mr. Cruz, are we doing that? Are we rationalizing these contracts in the area of technology and telecommunications? Because there's a lot of overlap nowadays, right?
Yes, but
Telephones is integrated with technology, with the network. So why are we going down this route when I think technology department should have some type of, I don't know how it's being managed. So where is technology on this? And what about those contracts with Verizon and Comcast that we're not even utilizing, quite frankly?
well, so Madam President?
Go right ahead, Mr. Cruz.
Thank you, Council President. Councilwoman, when it comes to Verizon, AT&T, they have all they do is that they actually provide a service, meaning AT&T can give us a long distance. They don't do maintenance of our equipment. We have alarm systems in the city. We have doors with access. I believe employees have access to certain doors within the building. We have, I'm not sure if camera systems is part of it, but we have voicemails that are set up internally in our system. There are servers that need to be serviced. What else? And all these that I mentioned are actually not part of the general IT contract, as that other one is just simply computers and providing services to the users of the computers, not necessarily the telephones. It's two separate technologies, and they have been actually maintained by practice in two separate contracts. I don't know that we can that an IT company would have that. Not all IT companies will have the technology or the personnel to actually handle voicemail servers that we would have in house to service our telephone systems. And so this contract actually creates that ability for us to be able to solve issues. So if one of our phones are very technological. If the phone goes down, they troubleshoot it, they trace the line, they install new lines if necessary. So it's totally different than the contract for computers.
Yeah, I just figure that we're between the voice and network services, they're all sort of somewhat totally integrated nowadays. But okay, I understand. So this competitive contracting will only be restricted to telecommunications, voice technology. Is that it?
That is correct. And as I mentioned, access to certain doors in the city, with having access, alarms, and that kind of technology.
Okay, very well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Roll call, Mr. Conlon.
Yes, ma'am, so noted. Next, we have Resolution 21-394, a resolution authorizing the expenditure of $4 million from the funds allocated to the City of Trenton under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 for repair and improvement to the water system serviced by the city.
Council President,
Go right ahead,
can we
Councilwoman Vaughn.
please have this one roll call? And I just want to say that I just want to tie this in and remind folks that this $4 million is, of course, as stated here in the resolution, is being reduced. It reduces the American Rescue Act plan monies that we received from the federal government. And furthermore, this is an example of as we move forward and working out the transition year budget, I would like to see this type of revenue and expense reported and appropriated in the budget, which I believe the mayor wants to do it in a separate process. So this is an example. Well, here it is. He is bringing it to council. Council does approve it, but I would like it to be incorporated in the budget so we can have some forecast of what plans we have for the money, and that is not being spent willy-nilly. So that's all I want to say about that for now. But please roll call this.
So my concern about the $4 million is this: the mayor and his entire administration knows that under the interim rules, they were to bring a plan to this body, and this body should approve by a majority vote or disapprove of the plan. But the mayor keeps piecing off the 36 point some odd $million. You cannot do that, Mayor. You cannot do that, Mr. Cruz. We should have the plan, and we should have voted on the plan. And if this $4 million is a part of the plan, then so be it. But it should be in a plan, not in piecemeal. The interim rule is clear. But for some reason or another, no one wants to follow the rule. That is typical with this administration. Do Olden Avenue need to be repaired? Yes, it does. Do you need to give us a plan, including all of the expenditures out of that 36 million? Yes, you do. And when you keep bringing us pieces and pieces, at the end of the day, the residents is not going to know where that money went. You should bring us the plan, Mayor. Period.
Madam President, if I may.
Mr. Cruz, no. I don't think it's necessary.
Council President? Council President?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yeah, I know our other council members had stated that we could use money of the American Rescue Act for the water system. I know it was brought up before. I think this is my correct, Council Vice President? Were you talking about that? Is this what you were talking about before the lead line? Council Vice President?
No.
Correct? That's
I
not
don't
this?
think so. No.
But whatever case it be, Councilman Harrison, it should be given to us in one plan. That is what the interim rule says. It says bring forth the plan to the legislative body and let them vote on the plan, not bring us 5 different projects each separately. That's what the interim rule says. So I'm not saying whether or not you can use it. I'm saying let's do it in order. Prioritize
Council
it.
President? Council President?
Yes, go right ahead, Councilwoman Cole. Wait.
Yeah, you know, and if I get the Council President right, is that we would like a defined plan. We know that these individual expenditures have to come before us, but we're getting them without having a plan drawn up showing where the money's being spent for all of the American Rescue Funds. Thank you.
Roll call. This is going to be roll call anyway. So, Mr. Collins, you may move on.
Yes, ma'am.
McBride, President McBride.
Yes, Councilman Blakely.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate that we should see a plan. You know, we are not going to see this type of infusion of extra funds for another generation. And it's prudent that council has the opportunity to review a plan in whole so that we can make a decision on the sensibility of a plan. But without a plan, I am concerned that this money will not have the positive impact that it should have. I think that what my colleagues are asking for is not is not difficult. It's not unreasonable. And you know, this administration should have a plan. You all have a committee. In fact, I would like to ask the administration, if you don't mind, Council President, if there were any meetings with the American Recovery Act committee that the mayor assembled, and if there are any plans to roll out the minutes for that particular committee, and if there is any type of communication coming from that committee, or have they had any public meetings to help them ascertain what the plan is? Because we have not heard, I'll speak for myself, I have not heard anything that has come from that much heralded committee.
And that would come from Mr. Cruz.
Yes, Madam President. There are members of this council that are part of that committee, which I would have thought that the council members will be providing updates. I mean, that is the purpose of having council members in a committee, so that they can come back to the rest of the body and provide updates. But Councilman, But Councilman, there has been conversations in the committee as to what expenditures should be made with the money. However, these $4 million is a result of a conversation that took place with council members that were against the city bonding $4 million to make repairs on the Olden Avenue pipeline that keeps breaking every 2 or 3 months. And they said, if you do it through the ARP fund, just do it through the ARP fund. And this is why this is being presented to you tonight, to give council the opportunity to vote on this so that we can begin repairs on that line that keep breaking every other month, and we keep creating problems for the business owners in that in that jurisdiction, to the point where the mayor of that jurisdiction already sent the council as well as the administration correspondence threatening to sue the city for for not addressing this once and for all. So that is the reason why this resolution is in front of you today without the rest of the plan.
Council
When can we?
President, if I may.
I'm actually.
Council President, if I may.
Mr. Blakely wasn't finished. As soon as he finished, then you could chime in, Council Vice Chair. Mr.
Okay.
Blakely.
So can we expect to see the plan, and have these meetings been available to the public? Are they open to the public? Are there summaries of what's happening in the meeting? I mean, I'm interested in hearing what this committee is deliberating on, and I have not heard anything. You know, I'm not necessarily looking for a summary from my colleagues. I'd like to get it directly from the administration.
Councilman, the plan, as indicated, is actually on a website that has been provided to this council in the past. I don't have the website in it, but it is the mayor's intent to provide this council an official ARP plan within the coming days. As I mentioned, this $4 million actually happened because we wanted to take action in remediating the problem being caused by this defective water line running in Alden Avenue.
Okay, all right, that's all I.
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson.
Yeah, first of all, Mr. Cruz, I want to make it very clear I'm not a spokesperson for the American Rescue Plan. That's the mayor's commission, and since they lost the director, the meetings last less than 5 minutes. And when the mayor was asked about the plan, he said he had already given us a plan. So I can't tell my colleagues something that I don't know. And everybody can listen into those meetings. And by the way, we haven't had an American Rescue Plan meeting in several weeks. Thank you.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead, Councilwoman Vaughn.
And I just want to reiterate is that last time council met, we talked about, the administration said that their approach to reporting or providing transparency around the appropriation and spending of the Rescue Act plan, they were going to do it by Chapter 159, I believe. That permitted them to do it incrementally, to do an incremental spend. But, a plan, quite frankly, the budget is a plan, right? The budget is the plan of the municipality, of the city. So I don't understand. Yes, I guess there's some laws out there that permit the mayor to do certain things, but there's also common sense, and common sense says that he should put in a plan, in summary, it's $36.5 million. He can tell the city, the council, where he plans to spend that money. And of course, if his plan changes over time, he can come back to the council and amend the budget accordingly. I don't understand why that's so difficult, but the budget is the plan, and he should have put this money there. Rather, he was going to put it in some reserve account to spend incrementally. We still should have it as a line item in the budget. And if he needs to come back to put an amendment and move money around, and we do that all the time with appropriations, we transfer money across accounts. So I don't understand why he can't include it in the budget, which is a plan, by the way. But thank you, Council President.
Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Collin, we may move on.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-395. A resolution authorizing a study by the planning board to determine whether the entire city of Trenton should be designated as an area in need of rehabilitation.
Council President?
This is a joke to me. Councilwoman Wong, go right ahead.
Yeah, could I ask, Mr. Collins, who introduced this resolution? Is this coming from Mr. Cruz?
This did come from the administration, yes.
Yes, so, I mean, what advantage, I guess my only question would be, what advantage does this provide the residents of the city and businesses of the city of Trenton? If the whole entire city, the 7.5 square miles, is now a redevelopment zone. Is that what they're saying here, Mr. Cruz?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so what is the benefit of that versus where we are now with larger part of the North Ward or East Ward and redevelopment area? So is this going to disadvantage the city when it comes to getting funding from the state or, from anywhere? I mean, what's the advantage of doing this and why now?
Okay, Madam President, if I may.
Go right ahead, Mr. Cruz.
All right, thank you, Madam President. So, Councilwoman, the reason why this resolution is being put forth in front of council is because, as you are all aware, there are various locations throughout the city that are not part of the redevelopment zones that had been set in prior years. And so by doing this is that we are actually we will be permitting actually for the entire city to be considered in need of rehabilitation, where then a redeveloper can be selected and given the go-ahead to be able to develop certain areas that fall outside of the redevelopment zones. This actually permits for faster redevelopment and positive revenue, money generating opportunities for the city. And that is why other cities have done it. This is not the first time. It is within the law that we do this. And, other cities have done it and they have been successful at actually advancing redevelopment in those areas.
And then, Council President, and one last question. So this is, right now, the city of Trenton is the city council is the redevelopment agency, the redevelopment authority, because we have not established any other group to do it in collaboration with us. So when something comes up like this, to expand the redevelopment zones to include the entire city, why are we just seeing this as the redevelopment entity of the city through a resolution? From the plan, how come the planning board didn't come to the city, come to the council and include us in this very important decision? I don't get that.
So, Madam President, the resolution has to come from administration requesting the planning board to take this determination. As you mentioned, the council is the redevelopment authority for the city, and anything and everything that needs to be redeveloped will still continue to go through through council. So it's not a shortcut to getting stuff done our way. The Director of Economic Development will still have to come before council to present any development ideas that may exist that will be covered, in any place in the city. So this is not circumventing that process.
No, I'm not. I agree that we do approve it, but I don't want to just be part of the approval process. The council role as the redevelopment agency is we're part of the thought process as well. So we weren't included in these conversations, in these think tank meetings that, that came to the conclusion that we need to perhaps do this. So yes, we do approve. That's one of our functions. But our function as the authority, redevelopment authority of the city of Trenton, we're supposed to be part of the thought process. And you guys exclude us at every turn. So the difference between approving and actually participating. So why weren't we told about this expansion before now?
So, Councilwoman Caldwell Wilson, hand is up.
Yes,
Councilwoman.
so Mr. Cruz, this resolution is pretty much redesignating some redevelopment areas into an area in need of rehabilitation. To me, that's a way of deflecting from council's authority and redirecting the Economic Development's authority. Is that correct?
No, that is not correct. What this is doing is this resolution is asking the planning board, because don't forget, it is the planning board that has to make that determination, not the council. The council doesn't have the authority to do a study. It is the planning board. So
That's
we
not
are
what I
asking.
asked you.
So we are asking the planning board
Yes.
to do the study, and then council will still continue to continue with their obligations as the redevelopment authority.
Mr. Cruz, that wasn't what I asked you. I feel that this is a way of circumventing council's authority in redevelopment zones, that you're going to designate an area in need of rehabilitation. That's what I'm reading.
Okay,
Nothing
so
to do with the planning board.
okay, so if that is a statement, I don't have an answer for you, Councilwoman. It is your personal statement.
Council President?
So, Mr. Cruz, the councilwoman was asking a question, and the question was, with this resolution, wouldn't it be taking the power? She's taking the powers from the redevelopment authority.
It is not.
My question to you, Mr. Cruz, is this resolution designate the entire city as a redevelopment area. So if you're asking the planning board to give you a nod to say that the entire city is a redevelopment, should be a redevelopment zone, then my question would be, where does that eminent domain fall at in this? That's a question that I need answered, because I need to make sure that we understand if eminent domain plays a part in designating these areas as redevelopment areas, or saying that the entire city needs to be rehabbed. Because we can look at the city and know that it needs to be rehabbed, but when you put it in black and white, what authorization what are you doing? What authorization are we given? I need to be clear on that.
Yes, Madam President. So you are not giving away any of the powers that are currently given to the council as the redevelopment authority. All this is doing is designating the city as a whole in need of redevelopment. It doesn't take away not one power from council the way it is presented.
Well, Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman, wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to ask Caldwell Wilson, her hand was still up. Is that from the previous? Councilwoman Caldwell Wilson, is your hand up from the previous question that you asked?
No, I didn't get the answer I wanted, but that's okay. I'm going to take my hand down.
Okay, Councilwoman.
Yeah. Well, I read the ordinance, and there's a whereas clause there that is concerning to me, and it's not clear. And I would need the council's redevelopment attorney to review something like this in advance of this coming to the docket. Now, because I can't trust that Mr. Cruz understands redevelopment law. That is not his area of expertise. Now, he could sit here and tell us and tell me we should feel comfortable that, that our authority is not being usurped, but that's not for Mr. Cruz to say. And had this was submitted to Mr. Hoffman in advance, Mr. Cruz, I wouldn't have these questions, and nor would my council colleagues. And this is what I mean when I say that council was excluded and you guys misstepped all the time. There's no way that we should be voting on this without input from our redevelopment attorney.
Well, he gave some input. Councilwoman Vaughn.
Council President?
I didn't get anything from Mr. Hoffman.
But my question is section 2. It says the clerk is authorized to transmit this this resolution prior to adoption. I needed some answers on that. I guess we'll go to Mr. Hoffman for that. I'll go to Mr. Hoffman for that answer. I won't ask Mr. Cruz. I'll go to Mr. Hoffman tomorrow.
Yes, I
Council
agree.
President?
Yes,
Council
go right
President?
ahead.
That's
Go
not.
right ahead, Councilman Harrison.
It says study by the planning board. It does not say that we're giving away the control to the planning board. Just like the planning board had a recommendations for cannabis, and other members on council went in a different direction. The same thing here. It says a study. It's a study. It's not saying that we have to go with it. It's a study.
So
We're not giving away power to the planning board. The resolution authorizing a study. It's not saying a resolution authorizing the planning board to take over everything. It doesn't say that. It just says a study. So what's the harm in having the planning board do a study and then looking at the study and then making a determination from there?
Because we need to understand what the study encompasses when they talk about rehabilitating the entire city. We need to know what they're talking about. We need to know what areas is taking the power away from the redevelopment authority, which is the council. We need to know
Council
when
President,
they say
you keep
redevelopment.
doing that. You keep saying taking away power. And we're not taking away the power. There's nowhere does it say it's taking away power.
They already did when they initiated this resolution.
It
Because
says
the redevelopment authority should have been part of the conversation.
It says a study, doesn't it? It says a study. I'm not sure if you read it. It says a study. You're going off somewhere else, but it's not that. The same thing with cannabis. The same thing. The planning board had a plan. Council members had another plan. But at the end of the day, this is a study. It's not saying that they're taking away that. I don't understand. It's talking about moving the city forward, but all we do is keep combating each other, yelling and screaming, and here we are again, not realizing the words is study. It's a study.
Council
Why don't
President?
you look at a study and then find out and make a determination then?
Council President?
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Vaughn.
If we all look at the now therefore be it resolved, section 4 clearly says that the council is designating designating its powers to the planning board. It says there, the municipal council hereby designates the proposed rehab area as shown on the attached map as the area in need of rehabilitation. So we're designating the planning board to exercise the power, and they will only come to us for a passive, I could say, for lack of a better term, approval. If we designate them as the entity that governs the rehabilitation area, we would just be sitting on the sidelines, and they would make all the decisions. So no, Mr. East Ward Council person, Joe Harrison, no, that's not true. And that's why I'm asking for the lawyer, our redevelopment attorney, to review this to ensure that we all understand our roles in this resolution, because it's not clear, and no one on this phone in this meeting right now can give us that expertise except Mr. Hoffman, who's not here. And I would ask the council president, she says she's going to give this to Mr. Hoffman tomorrow, and hopefully he can bring some clarity to everybody by Thursday.
Council President, it's kind of like the planning board had their recommendation for cannabis, and most of the council didn't understand that either. So at the end of the day, it says the word study, but hey, just let it go, because it doesn't. You guys are going to argue about everything else. Find something else on the next docket to argue about that. Let's go on.
Madam President?
Go right ahead, Councilman Rodriguez.
I agree with Ms. Bond. This should be, first, would you have a presentation about this way back? because it's a lot of stuff. It titles a lot of stuff. It says study. It doesn't say who's going to pay for that study, how it's going to be done, why there is a need for a study. Those things should have been clarified before this resolution came to us. We don't in 2 days. We don't have time, so I cannot vote on this the way it is unless I get explanations on why, does it benefit the city, or how does it hurt? Because in some areas it might benefit, yes, designated a development area. But then the problem is that if a resident wants to buy a property and that property is on a redevelopment area, he has to become a developer in order to buy that property. And I don't know if we are ready to go to that extent. So we have to be careful about this. I agree. The majority of the city is in need of redevelopment, but we have to be careful about what this means. Authorizing this, what it means, what are the negatives that could come with it. It's like I remember the historic designations in downtown. Oh, that was great. But now I have residents that have been waiting for years to change a window in that area. So we have to be careful about what we approve in this council. So thank you.
President McBride?
Yes, I see Mr. Bridges' hand up, and so after you speak, Councilman, then we'll allow Mr. Bridges.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not opposed to this resolution. I think that it's very clear that the city of Trenton is in desperate need of rehabilitation. We have significant challenges in the area of redevelopment. There's been a very consistent decline in the historically, since I've been alive, in the quality of development in the city of Trenton. And I think that a study would be prudent. A study just simply studies it. It's not making a decision. It would be looking at seeing if the if we need to go in another direction. I think that presently the process is not working as effectively. And I would also look at the second whereas clause, where it says that the municipal council would find the following conditions existing. It's a significant portion of structures in the area are deteriorated or in substandard condition. That's a fact. More than half the housing stock in the area is at least 50 years old. That's a fact. There's a pattern of vacancy, abandonment, or underutilization of properties in the area. That's a fact. There's a persistent arrearage of property tax payments on properties in the area. That's a fact. There's a majority of the water and sewer infrastructure in the area is at least 50 years old, is in need of repair or substantial maintenance, and that's a fact. And so, the conditions that are outlined in this resolution are very clear. You don't need considerable vision to see that those conditions exist. And so, I think that a plan would be prudent for us to at least assess. Now, I would say that I would be opposed to designating the entire city of Trenton as an area in need of rehabilitation if a study wasn't done, right? So I think this is the proper order to assess if it needs to be done. And I think there is no harm in looking at an alternative way of doing development in this city to encourage development, because we know that Trenton is in desperate need. We are not going to reverse the city's decline if we do not have greater investment. And so for that reason, I think that this study is a prudent one and one that I support 100%. Thank you.
So let me just be clear. Councilman Harrison and Councilman Blakely saying that it is okay to designate the area to need a rehabilitation before the study is done, because that's what the resolution
No.
is
I didn't
saying.
say that. I didn't say
But
that.
that's what
I didn't say that. I said
that's what the resolution is saying. The
no. It said
resolution is clear. It's saying that they want to designate it before the study. They want a study, but they want us to designate it before the study. So Councilwoman Vaughn said one thing, and the thing that I added to this is Mr. Hoffman needs to have a conversation with this council. So what I'm going to do is put out a call to Mr. Hoffman, so Mr. Hoffman can come into the executive session on Thursday and give us some redevelopment guidance on this. And then that way, it'll put a lot of the questions to rest if we bring him in before the vote. So that's what I'll move to do tomorrow, okay?
That's
fair.
Thank you, Council President. Very fair.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council
So
President? Council
Yes.
President?
Yes,
Didn't you say West Bridges wanted to speak?
yes, but he took his hand down, so that I was looking at. the
Yeah,
hand-
yeah, Council President, I did take my hand down. I think based on the colloquy that just occurred, my point I want to make is moot. I will say there's been some statements that Mr. Hoffman has not been involved. I would just politely suggest that there be some communication between now and Thursday with respect to getting Mr. Hoffman to speak to the entire body about the effect and what this ordinance says. So I don't have anything else to say.
Okay, because we're moving to do that. All righty. Thank you, Mr. Bridges. And Mr. Collin, would you make a note to reach out to Mr. Hoffman tomorrow?
I've already sent Mr. Hoffman an email, man.
All righty. Thank you so much. And we may continue.
Next, we have resolution, do we want?
For now, it'll be roll call.
Yeah, and I had designated as roll call. I believe somebody said that earlier on. Next, we have resolution 21-426, a resolution authorizing a payment to Chubb Insurance Company in New Jersey, 500 Ross Street, I-54-0455, Pittsburgh, PA, 15262-001 for property insurance premium in an amount not to exceed $352,582.
Wait a minute. I lost my place. Let me get my papers back.
Could I have a question on the property insurance?
Yes.
This is for Mr. Cruz. Is this for all public property that we own in the city, for all the vacant property?
It is for all of the city-owned buildings, yes, Councilwoman.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All of them that are occupied?
All of them that are occupied and currently under the ownership of the city.
Mm-hmm. So, this is one of my concerns. And, we talked about buildings that we are loaning out to nonprofit organizations. And here we are paying insurance on them. And we're not, that we have a liability potential when we loan out our building without the appropriate level of assurance from these other entities. So, so this insurance policy covers everything, right? That's public property in the city. Okay.
That is correct, yes.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you like to proceed, man?
That should be consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have resolutions to the Department of Law. West Bridges acting, or West Bridges is the director. I'm sorry, we'll remove that. 21-396, a resolution authorizing settlement in the civil matter of 21st Century Media LLC versus the City of Trenton et al.
Mr. Conlon, if I may chime in with respect to this.
This is part of the discussion.
Any discussions with respect to this is properly had during executive session portion?
Right.
All right.
That's it. Right. So this should be roll called as well, madam.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Next, we have resolution 21-397, which is also part of the, this is not part of the executive session. This is Resolution 21-397, a resolution authorizing the award of a contract with the law office of Riker, Danzig, Scherer, Highland, and Peretti, LLP, to provide professional legal services regarding special counsel litigation involving the Department of Environmental Protection through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44 Cap A-20.5 Sec for a period of 6 months from July 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, in an amount not to exceed $50,000.
Is this Mr. Hoffman? Is this Mr. Hoffman, Mr.
No, ma'am, he works for Wilmette.
No, Council President, if I may, no,
Yes.
this is not Mr. Hoffman. This is with respect to the NJDEP litigation and the litigation involving the surrounding municipalities.
Okay.
That's the water law attorney, Council President.
Okay. I just was wondering where Mr. Hoffman's was. I guess I was hoping that was his because I thought he was a part of.
We did discuss that. That will be addressed at the next meeting. We had that discussion at our pre-docket review, but we just didn't have time between Thursday and today to have that done based on the deadline to get things on the docket. But that will absolutely be on the next meeting.
Okay.
You may that could be a part of the consent agenda. And we may continue with 21-398.
Next, we have
That's going to be talked about in executive session too. So.
Correct, Council President. The next two will be executive session items.
Okay, so those are automatically roll calls. All right.
Yes, ma'am, and I'll just read them into the record. 21-398, a resolution authorizing settlement in the civil matter of advanced waterfront development urban renewal versus City of Trenton et al. And then there's also Resolution 21-399, a part of the executive session. Resolution authorizing city settlement in the city of a civil action in the matter of Sherilyn Rivera versus City of Trenton et al. in total amount of $30,000.
All righty, so we may continue with the police.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have resolutions to the Department of Police, Steve Wilson, Acting Director. First, we have Resolution 21-363.
Council President?
Yes.
This is a resolution amended as requested by City Council to pay MPS for services rendered April 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2021.
Yeah, I'm going to read it. I have to read it into the record, ma'am. So I'm going to get this is Resolution 21-363, resolution authorizing a contract with MPS Communications, 1420 South Broad Street, Trenton, New Jersey, 08610, to be awarded on an emergency basis from April 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2021. Provide Federal Communications Commission FCC private carrier station infrastructure services for radio communications in an amount not to exceed $145,612.
Madam President?
Go right ahead, Councilman Rodriguez, and then Councilwoman Vaughn.
I think we have been discussing this issue about the radio room for the past 3.5 years.
Yes.
I'm puzzled that we still continue paying this company. I believe that last week there was a court issue or somebody is suing them. And we pay a lot of money for a study done by HW Group LLC. And I showed Mr. Wilson, the director, the pages where it says that the study does not recommend that we continue using this type of equipment because I don't know why we continue. The last meeting, they said that it was an emergency contract, right? So the word emergency was taken off and it was brought back the same contract for $145,000. But still, the director forgot to put out the whereas. The last whereas was said the official in charge Steve Wilson, acting police director, has submitted a memo to the Division of Purchasing certifying that an emergency existed. But that was the issue. He said that it was amended, but how comes still with this statement he's certifying that that's an emergency contract? So what is going on? And I am going to vote no 1,000 times if I have to on this issue. I discussed this issue. I believe that Mr. Bridges should explain the director and the administration why we should not be having these contracts. You know, there's no need for us to have a contract. This company cannot deprive the city of the radio and fire systems, because the communications. He cannot, because that's against FCC. That's a federal crime. You know, he cannot deprive us. So why do we have to satisfy his friends in city council and in the police department by giving this guy $145,000? He owes millions. He ripped off the city. I'm going to cite just a couple of examples. Page, whoever have that study with them, which you should all have it, I should have been referring to it, from pages 19 to 22, there are findings, performance findings, a bunch of them, you know, I tell you, non-public safety grade radio system, the UHF Kenwood NSDN business radio system is not designed to support mission critical public safety communications. It's clearly in that study that was given to us almost a year ago, that was ordered by our ex-director colleague, you know, at my insistence. And she did have this study done, but evidently neither the administration or the rest of council have read this study, because it clearly said that that equipment should not have been placed there at all. And there's about 10 different things. And there's complaints every day in the log. Pull the log of the radio room, and there's complaints about the communications every day. And I don't know why Councilman Moschar, he should be here, because he had a problem with the radio room when he called on his emergency, when there was an accident in his business. You know, there are problems there, and we have to expedite the RSP, not the funny one that was placed
Council President.
Please don't interrupt the councilman. You'll be recognized.
In a second. You know, the RFP that was placed before was favoring this same company, MPS, favoring them, because it had a clause saying that the new company has to be able to repair the Kenwood equipment. No one in this nation is going to deal with that, because they know that the Kenwood equipment is not the proper one, because it says it in this study, and we pay thousands of dollars for this study. Mr. Bridges, can you chime in? You know, this should be pulled out of the dockets right now.
Council President, if I may.
Yes, go right ahead.
Yeah, I did raise my hand, and I would like to suggest that we, with Council President's acquiescence to this, that we move this to the extent we're going to have this type of discussion to the executive session also, because at the end of the day, this is an anticipation litigation. It will be attorney-client type of communication with respect to not only work product, but litigation strategy. So while I have had several in-depth conversations with the councilman about this, I just feel it would be more appropriate for us to have these conversations in a more confidential environment.
And so,
Council President?
You want to
And just to be very clear, the litigation conversation will be if and when litigation is ensued for these quote unquote services, how are we going to address it from a strategic standpoint?
Well, we were told from Mr. Morelli that it was already in litigation. And so why
That
are
was
we
a
saying
lie.
if and when?
I've already, once again, I'd like to push this conversation to executive session. I have had that specific conversation with the
Okay.
councilman, but it's more
Okay.
appropriate to be done in executive session.
All righty. We can move it.
No, Council President, I have a comment.
She said keep moving.
Right,
I have
but I'm gonna.
Keep moving.
Okay, but excuse
Mr.
me,
Bridges, please stop.
Councilwoman,
Please
I'm
don't speak
speaking.
to the council
Oh, I'm
president.
sorry. I thought I was on mute. Keep moving.
No, I am gonna move it to executive session based
No.
on.
I don't. Wait a minute now.
Based.
If we're going to move it to executive, I don't understand what's going on here. There's only certain things that can go into executive session, right, Mr. Kaloji?
Please, Councilwoman.
What's the question?
I am speaking now.
I know, but I asked.
But I am speaking.
Please do not move on. I have a question about this resolution.
Well, you don't have the floor when I'm speaking, please.
Okay, that's fair.
I wanted to take the advice of Mr. Bridges and move this to executive session because there are definitely parts of this that has to be expounded on, and this contract came back to us for the 5th time, and it still is bearing that emergency basis. And I just believe that enough already with the emergency that's not an emergency. So I think that we should move it to executive session, and I will ask Mr. Collins to put it in the executive session with the attorney client privilege.
Can Mr. Kaloji speak about? I don't think we can bring that into executive session, Council President.
Well, it's not for you to think about. I'm
I'm saying if it's legal. If it's legal, that's why I'm asking Mr. Kaloji. I'm asking Mr. Kaloji.
It's the chair's meeting, ma'am. She'll ask Mr. Kaloji.
No, you're not.
Why not?
Because Mr. Bridges has already gave his recommendation.
No, Mr. Bridges. I believe we cannot take this out of the public domain and be legal, Mr. Council President.
No.
And what is wrong with getting Mr. Kaloji's advice?
Because
because he's not going to agree that this conversation needs to be an executive session.
I am taking.
Stop trying to be illegal.
Bridges.
You can't hold everybody else accountable and you do the same thing, Council President.
No.
This should be transparent. This
We're
should
taking
not
the
this
advice.
old corrupt contract.
I am taking the advice of the
I
Mr.
want to
Bridges,
take advice
which is still the legal counsel.
This is not even in litigation yet.
Move forward, Mr. Conlon.
Yes, ma'am. That is
not even in litigation yet. You can't cover for the police department in this corrupt contract.
Roll call, ma'am.
We're gonna take this into executive session.
Is it gonna be roll call?
Well, we have to put it for roll call now until we come out of executive session.
Yeah, we could always do a motion to add to the consent agenda if necessary.
Everything is executive session. Are we having, is this legal? Is this legal, Council President? That's all I'm asking. Is this legal?
Point of order.
We are taking a legal opinion. We're taking a legal opinion.
I'm asking. I'm going to ask Mr. Kaloji.
My God, is he not the attorney?
I got to be honest. I don't believe Mr. Bridges is correct.
You want to bet on it? I'll let Mr. Kaloji answer, and then
Mr. Bridges, please don't
let him answer and see what the answer is.
Mr. Bridges, please don't answer.
I want Mr. Kaloji's opinion, please.
Well, you'll have to get it another day. We're going to move this into
executive session. Okay. You go ahead and get it, Council. You go ahead and go in executive session and get sued, Council President.
All right, we'll just stay out. Okay.
Go ahead and get sued.
Next, we have Resolution 21-400, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of the state fiscal year 21 body worn camera grant program number 21 BWC-438 for $234,370,000 from the state of New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety.
Council President?
Yes. Is that Mr. Wilson?
Yes, ma'am.
Police Director?
Yes, ma'am, it is. This is for equipment and maintenance of that equipment and storage of the data and to ensure that we are in compliance with the Attorney General guidelines.
Thank you. This could be a consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have resolutions from the Department of Fire, Kenneth Douglas, Director. First, we have Resolution 21-401, a resolution authorizing contract to municipal emergency services for the purchase of protective uniforms, footwear, personal protective fire equipment through New Jersey State Contract Number T-0790-17-DPP-00100 for a period of 6 months from July 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, in an amount not to exceed $130,000. I would like to receive that.
If there's no comment from the body, then we could add it to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-402, a resolution authorizing contract to Goals LLC, awarded through New Jersey State Contract Number T-004620-Food-00904 for proprietary purchase of uniforms for a period of 6 months from July 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, in an amount not to exceed $65,000. How would you like to proceed, ma'am?
If there's no comment, resolution authorizing
Council President.
contract. Yes, go right ahead, Councilwoman Caldwell.
Yeah, I'm looking at a lot of these contracts, and they're from July 1st to December 31st, and we're now in September, so I don't understand this. Mr. Cruz.
That would be for Mr. Cruz.
Yes, Councilwoman. So when, and thank you, Madam Vice President, when these resolutions were actually written, they were actually written for them to go on to the, I guess, July, August meeting. And that is why it is reflecting July 1st. However, we can date them for August. I mean, the intent was to get them actually in the August meeting. That was not the case, but expenditures have not been made in any of these contracts. We have had conversations with the Department of Law and the Division of Central Purchasing that moving forward, any resolutions for contracts that have not been utilized, that they be actually not dated, but be that be effective upon passage of the resolution. And that's something that we are working on, and you will be seeing in the very near future that is what the resolutions are going to be stating, not an actual hardcore date, because that also takes away from the amount of time that we have to use the contracts.
I mean, I do understand changing in fiscal years caused a lot of confusion, but when a contract is up in May, the resolution should come to us before July. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, and Madam Councilwoman, Vice President, these are actually for turn up gear and I believe they call and uniforms for the new class that is about to begin at the Fire Academy in October. So there was really no need to date it for July, because it is a one-time buy that we're doing for this equipment. It's just that they were giving it a time frame, but there was no need for a time frame, because once we buy the equipment, we're not buying anything else.
So maybe somebody needs an education that draws these up regarding the dates. That's all I'm saying.
Yes,
you.
and thank you. And we're working with the law department and purchasing to make that change, Madam Vice President.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Mr.
thank you.
Cruz, is it not possible just to make the change before the vote?
Yes, if you would like to make it effective upon passage rather than
yes.
Yes.
Dating
Please
it
have
back
a new
to
resolution
July.
be tomorrow, Adam.
I'm sorry?
So first, if you would go through the resolutions, because there's a number of resolutions that have that issue.
Okay,
But
we can.
Thank you.
But they're all not a one-time purchase. For the ones that's a one-time purchase, can we make that happen for the one-time purchases?
Yes, I will say if that is the pleasure of the council, yes, we can make that change today, specifically for these two, for 401
Yes.
and 402. We can do them upon passage.
Okay, great.
Adam, I need that paperwork
Could you,
tomorrow, though.
Okay, yeah, that's not a problem. We can make that happen.
thank you.
Thank you.
You may continue, Mr. Conlon.
Yes, ma'am. This is next. We have Resolution 21-403, authorizing a contract to Reading Fire Equipment Inc. for the purchase of uniforms, footwear, and personal protective equipment. I'm sorry, 21-402 was consent, right?
Yes.
Okay. Next, we have Resolution 21-403, resolution authorizing contract to Reading Fire Equipment Inc. for the purchase of uniforms, footwear, and personal protective fire equipment through New Jersey State Contract Number T-079017 DPP 00100 for a period of 6 months from July 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, in an amount not to exceed $130,000.
Council President,
Go right
this is
ahead,
another one
Councilwoman.
that's effective July the 1st.
Yes, he said that he was going to change that 402 and 403 to effective the date of purchase.
Mr. Conlon, I believe that one of these two resolutions, we requested to have it removed from the docket because one of them was a backup to the other one in case we couldn't get the other company to provide the equipment. So I will check again tomorrow, but one of these will be coming. We will be requesting that one of these be tabled. And I will send you that email tomorrow when I'm in front of my computer, unless the director has the information as to which one of these two resolutions have to come off tonight.
Good evening, Council President. So the resolution number 403 will be the one removed. That was the backup. The one in 401, that vendor is able to fulfill the order for the personal protective equipment.
All righty. So I just would like for the administration to understand that when we move these resolutions forward like this, it's a lot of work entailed. Please be precise when you're giving the work over to the clerk because you created more work than actually was needed. And even if it wasn't going to be passed, then you could have we could have considered 403 for the next docket rather than to have the clerk's office, which is understaffed and have several people in training. So will you please be considerate of that moving forward, Mr. Cruz?
Yes, Madam President. But I believe the request was made. However, yes, we will take your recommendation.
Thank you.
Yeah, Adam, I never actually got an email on 403. I got the others for water. 403 wasn't included in that email.
Alrighty, so we may we're gonna remove. We
Yeah,
have to
pulled
wait
by Ed.
until we're gonna.
I got to make a lot of
on,
docket changes
Thursday.
tomorrow. So yeah,
Right.
I got it.
So this will be pulled. Alrighty, you may continue.
Next, we have Resolution 21-404, a resolution authorizing emergency appropriations to the Trenton to the transitional year 2021 temporary budgets for the City of Trenton current fund.
Council President?
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Vaughn.
Can someone, so we're having these emergency appropriations because of course we still have not approved approved. It has, although introduced by the mayor, hasn't been approved. And we haven't yet, the council have not had any hearings, right? Public hearings.
Wrong. Comment is wrong.
Who's that?
Made all that money now. It was only it was.
Mr. Collins, someone.
I mean,
I'm looking for him,
yes,
ma'am.
yes.
And you know, again, you know, I'm just really concerned about this transition year budget and approving these appropriations. And because we're spending And then we want to not include the Rescue Act plan funds that were appropriated to our municipality so that it can offset the revenue loss and any type of shortfall that our budget will experience based on the impact of the pandemic, but yet we're not applying those funds to our budget. And here we are in a transitional year. And every time you pass the budget, you have to consider I'm thinking of my own, a property tax increase on the residents. So this is very concerning. And I don't think that, sadly, I'm going to be honest here, I don't think that the residents really understand the impact that they're going to have, that they're going to feel as a result of this transition year budget. I really believe now that I'm hearing that the mayor will not include those revenue from the Rescue Act plan in the budget. So how is he going to offset the revenue losses? I don't get it. So the only way he can offset the revenue losses, if he's not going to use the Rescue Act plan funds, is to raise the taxes of the city, of the residents, period. And he can't continue to kick the can down the road and try to sell us bad goods here. That's a fact. The taxes are going to go up here, and he promised to the residents that moving to the transitional year budget was going to help get us out of transitional aid, help get us out of the MOU, and he promised a zero tax increase. Now, I don't know how is he going to achieve that. Where are the revenues that's going to offset the shortfall that would preclude him from raising the taxes? I'm just not buying it. And the residents aren't buying it. And they need to, and the mayor needs to come clean, because it's all a ruse. It's all a lie. And people's lives are at stake here. People's homes are at stake. And I just want to know where the money is coming from that's going to permit him to not raise these taxes.
Well, Councilwoman,
so no, I'm not going to approve these appropriations. I never voted for anything about this transitional year budget. I was never for it because I knew what the game was. And it's not even transparent because nobody has been transparent with the residents. And now he's saying he's going to hold back the revenues from the from the Rescue Act plan that's there to offset the revenue losses. I don't get it. But anyway, thank you, Council President. But I'm not going to vote for that until we get some more transparency from this administration.
Council President.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
I think it's really true. I think it's truly hypocrisy when we had the last budget and we had a zero tax increase, and the same person now talking about tax increase actually voted against the zero tax increase. So it's kind of talking out of both sides of your mouth there. When my colleague said
tax increase.
Yeah, it was, but you like again.
It was
see,
not.
I didn't
Look at your tax bill. Look at your tax bill.
This all the time.
Look at your tax bill. It was not.
You do this all the time.
Stop lying. Stop lying.
You voted against the budget? Yes, you did.
Stop lying. Look at your tax advice. Stop lying.
Yeah. No, nobody's lying.
Stop lying to your people. Stop lying to your constituents.
Mr. Conlon.
Constituents,
they know you're lying, Joe Harrison. They know you're lying.
Lying?
They're paying their taxes.
Point of order. Point of order.
So please stop
over here.
I didn't interrupt you. You were talking, right?
The taxpayers know you're lying.
Mr. Conlon, you have to mute her, please.
So who are you fooling, sir? Who are you?
Mr. Conlon, mute her because the councilman has the floor. Councilwoman Vaughn, you cannot interrupt when another council member is speaking.
Council President, thank you very much. It's unbelievable when somebody talks about their constituents. You can't be found in your neighborhood. No matter how many events I go to all around the city, especially in that ward, the West Ward, they can't find her. But she's going to stand here and say she was for zero tax increase, but then she voted against it. That's hypocrisy. That's a liar. That's why people don't truly like politicians, because they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. So remember that. I didn't interrupt any of my colleagues. But here she goes again. When she doesn't like when somebody says something, she wants to interrupt somebody. Thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you. We may continue, Mr. Conlon. Mr. Conlon? For some reason, you're
Yes,
muted.
ma'am. I have it. I have it. I believe this has to be roll call because it's a budget resolution.
Yes.
Next, we have resolutions from the Department of Housing and Economic Development, C. Andre Daniels, Acting Director. First, we have Resolution 21-406, a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to the office of Goldenberg, Mackler, Sayer, Mintz, Pepper, Bonchi, and Grill to provide specialized professional legal services regarding in-rem tax foreclosure litigation matters through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44 Cap A 20.5 at second amount not to exceed $350,000 per RFP 2021-25. Just for the record, Council President, I want to note from my docket review notes here that this was actually supposed to be amended by law for a 1 year, $50,000 term, but that amendment has not arrived.
And so they need to pull this come Thursday if you don't have the amended version. On Thursday, I would ask for this to be tabled if the amended resolution is not into your office as it should have been by last Wednesday.
Totally. Do you want to add this to the roll call?
No, I'm gonna table it if you don't have.
Well, for right now, it would just be roll call or consent. And then if to active on it individually, you should roll call it so that we can take the individual action on Thursday, whether it be approval, table, or otherwise.
Council President, if I may suggest that we have it roll called. You're correct. That should have been an amendment that should come down to the clerk. I did not do that. I'll have that over to him tomorrow.
All right.
Next, we have Resolution 21-409, a resolution to, I'm sorry, was there any other discussion on that other than
Madam President?
Yes, Councilman Rodriguez.
I believe not too long ago we approved something similar to this. But my question is, when are we going to get reports on the performance of those attorneys? How many foreclosures have they been taken care of? How much money has the city gained by having these $350,000 attorneys? Because I don't see the result. I like to see that prior to voting for this. They should give us a report on what the last one did. How much did he accomplish? How many foreclosures he took care of? Because they keep on sending this over and over. Every year we get it. So this is about the third time and that we have voted for a similar thing, for foreclosures. And where are the resources? We need resources on that. I suggest that they hold on to this until we get a report. City Council gets a report on how many the last contract to how many did he completed, and why we are switching. I guess we are switching contractors because we are not extending the contract of the old one. So why are we switching contractors every year? There's a lot of questions about this. This is not, it's $350,000, so we should be careful about this. So thank you.
Council President, if I may answer the councilman's questions, questions.
Go right ahead, Council.
Yeah, I'll be happy to provide, Councilman. Thank you for your question. I'll be happy to provide a breakdown. But the details are pretty concrete. They're hard numbers. Anytime you see auction property or interim tax foreclosure property that's being sold and those monies that are coming in, that's as a direct result of this firm's efforts. So I can give you very succinctly, and I do see the head of the acting head of housing and economic development on here with his assistance. We can provide a pretty detailed breakdown, as well as Assistant City Attorney Sally Samuels, breakdown of all the properties that they have foreclosed on. But it is, to answer your preliminary answer your question, it is a profit for the city. It is something that we're not in the red. This is a money making proposition, and like I said, I'll provide that breakdown to you as well through Mrs. Samuels tomorrow.
Okay, but my question is to the whole council, it may be
Talking.
to everybody, not just to me, to everybody. But my question is this a new contractor or is it the same one we had last year?
It's the same one we had last year
Okay, and why we are not extending the contract?
because they did a good job.
Yeah, but it's not an extension. It said that it's a new, according to this, it's a new contract. That's
Yeah,
why
it is a new contract because we are in this, when we switched over to a calendar year, Councilman, this was a part of the firms that were not included 2 council meetings ago where we approved all those law firms. This is a firm that should have been included in that, but due to my oversight, unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize that actually came out of law versus coming out of HED. It was not on there. So this is the same company, and the reason that they're doing it is because we have found them to be efficient and profitable in their endeavors. So that's why they're coming before you now, as opposed to having not come before you.
Thank you for the explanation. That at least. Thank you.
My pleasure, sir.
Mr. Conlon, you may continue.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-409, a resolution to approve a Trenton emergency loan in the amount not to exceed $20,000 to GK Enterprises LLC, doing business as Whitaker Bar and Liquors.
Council President?
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Vaughn.
So which loan is this, which grant program is this coming out of? Or do I have to, is it on the resolution? Let me go to the resolution.
It should be coming out of the UEZ funding.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it? Is that what the resolution
Well,
says?
I will double check. Let me just double check the memo.
I'm going to that now.
It's coming out of UEZ. I believe it's explained in the 9th whereas.
Yeah, I thought all that money was allocated.
No, there was only 600 out of the 2 million allocated, to my understanding, somewhere in that area. This is Trent Emergency Loan Division makes an emergency loan, Trent Business, the urban end. So this is UEZ money, ma'am, per the memo attached to the resolution, August 6th, Adam Cruz to Ben Delisle. Or from Ben Delisle to Adam Cruz.
All righty. So if there's no objection, then we'll do a consent.
Yes, ma'am. So noted. Next, we have resolutions for the Department of Health, Dr. Adela Lopez, Director. First, we have Resolution 21-425. A resolution awarding a contract through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44 Cap A -20.4 at Sec Trenton Animal Rock, or Animal Welfare Services in amount not to exceed $187,860 for a period of 6 months from July 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, and through RFP 2021-27.
Madam President?
Go right ahead, Council.
I have a question. It says that this contract is going to be on July 1st. That was, 3 months ago? So that means that they are already providing those services. Okay. I know that entity, Animal Rock, I've seen them in the internet a lot. They have doing a great job around the county, I guess. They are located in Ewing. But is this part of we have an animal shelter already. Is it going to be working with the animals we have at the animal shelter, or is just other animals?
Council President, if I may.
Go right ahead, Councilwoman.
Yeah, since this animal shelter has become no-kill, they've been inundated with animals with health issues, needing surgery. The food, they've been using up all the food, and they have not been paid because they didn't have a contract. They've been doing volunteer services and taking money and paying for food out of their own program.
Still, it's not answering my question. You know, is it going to be from the excess animals that we have at the shelter. So our animal shelter, the shelter team is going to be collecting those animals for this organization, or are they going to go come in my backyard and take all these cats that are here all the time? You know, how is it going to work? You know, because it's $187,000 for 6 months. If it was for a year, it would be 300 and some thousand a year. You know, those are not pennies.
That's for food and medical and care and adoption and foster care.
But are they going to be picking the animals from the streets? Oh, how does that work?
I can't hear you, Councilman.
Are they going to go and they're going to pick up the animals from the streets? That's what I'm saying.
No, they do.
Who's going to do that?
The
Madam
animal
President,
control officers.
Oh.
The animal control officers pick the animals up off the street and bring them in, or the public bring them in, or they drop them off, or they tie them up to the shelter fence and walk away.
Okay, so it's going to be through our shelter. That was my question, and nobody answered it. It's going to be through our shelter. They are going to take care of the excess animals that we get there, right?
Council President, you have the health officer, Yvette Cooper, waiting to respond. And if there's any more questions, she can answer them. But as far as the animals, Councilman, yes, those are the animals that are being taken care of, the ones that are getting dropped off at the shelter. And they have, if you have seen the specifications, the proposal that was submitted by the company, you will see the breakdown on how these services are being provided.
You may continue, Mr. Collins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
President. Council President.
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Harris.
Either Mrs. Cooper or Council Vice President, do you have a number? Because I know, like you said, the Trenton Animal Rocks, they need help. They need food, whatever else. Do we have a phone number that we could put out there that we could on the phone on tonight or Thursday night, so we can put it out there so people could donate food or come and help out, whatever needs? Because I know Council Vice President's really involved.
Yeah, the Trenton Animal Rocks puts out a lot of they put out a lot of information on social media to the community, and they do have a website with all the numbers that you need, and they have a Facebook page. But I don't have the phone number right off.
I'll get the number and then I'll put it out on Thursday, ma'am, if you want.
Thank you.
Council President?
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Vaughn.
Well, a constituent just sent every council member an email requesting information regarding telephone number, contact information for the animal shelter so they can donate. So that's where that came from. They just sent the email out to everybody. So, Mr. Collin, you can act accordingly, I guess.
I have it on my to-do list. I just have one administrative. Are we done with 21-425, ma'am? And how are we proceeding with that?
Yes, we are. We're going to do, that can be part of the consent agenda if
Yes,
no one
ma'am.
has any objections. And then we can move on to.
I do have one administrative note. I received an email from Director Douglas that the actual proper resolutions would be removed by admin for the fire equipment for the new recruits would actually be 21-401 and not 21-403. And I just wanted Mr. Cruz to put on the record that that's the one he actually wants to remove. That would be removing 401, not 403.
All right.
Yes,
that's
yes,
some
for the record.
housekeeping stuff that you guys could do. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to know for the record, on the record, man. That's it. So I'll just make that change here on my notes. Okay, next we have Resolution 21-410. This is from Department of Recreation, Natural Resources, and Culture, Maria Richardson, Director. Resolution 21-410, a resolution accepting and awarding negotiated contract to Pool Boys Pool and Spa LLC for on-call swimming pool maintenance for 5 public swimming pools for a period of 1 year from July 1st, 2021 to June 30, 2022, in an amount not to exceed $75,000.
If there's no objection, we'll add this to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
You may continue, Mr. Conlon.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have resolution from.
I have a question, Council President. I'm sorry.
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Vaughn.
What is it says 21-410. What is a negotiated contract? I don't know what a negotiated contract is.
This is a contract.
Is that part of
Council
fair
President, this is Maria Richardson. If you would like, I can
you,
answer that
Maria.
question.
I did not ask her, Council President. I did not ask her to speak. I did not ask her to speak.
You asked what was a negotiated
I asked
contract?
what a negotiated contract is and whether that's part of the New Jersey local contract law.
So that would come from Mr. Bridges.
No, okay. Well,
Bridges?
that's my question.
Council
It
President?
should come from,
No, I didn't ask
from,
for, I didn't ask
it
for
should come from
Maria's
the procurement.
input.
It should come from the procurement officer, but she's not on, so if Mr. Bridges could chime in.
Okay, so this is what I would like to do, Council President. I don't want Mr. Bridges' advice. I just want to.
Why not?
Because, again, Council President, I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to you, Council President. I'm not speaking to anybody else.
Go right ahead, Councilwoman.
Since I've been on council, I've never seen this term called awarding a negotiated contract. So I just want to know what it is before, so can we have this roll call until Thursday, until I can get an understanding from either Mr. Kaloji and or the procurement officer.
All righty. So we'll make note to have Mr. Kaloji. We'll make note to have Mr. Kaloji give a definition of a negotiated contract, and we will also ask for the procurement officer to be on the call for Thursday, Ms. Isabel.
Council President?
And let's have that roll call, please. Mr. Collin, can you roll call 21-410?
Sure,
Thank you.
Council President?
Alrighty. Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Harrison.
I would like to know what Mrs. Richardson was going to say. Could you please?
The councilwoman was asking a question, and she was directing it to a certain individuals, and
right, but I know what Mrs. Richardson was going to say. That's what my question is. I would like to know what Mrs. Richardson was going to say.
Well, we're not going to do that. We're going to move on.
Why? You asked me my question.
Because
the
question was coming from Councilwoman Vaughn. She
right, and now the question comes from me. The question was coming from Councilman Harrison regarding.
No, we're not going to. I'm not going to entertain that, Councilman Harrison. We're going to move on. Mr. Collin, can we move on?
Yes, next we have resolutions, Department of Public Works, Wahid Monetary Director. First, we have resolution 21-411, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to Zamparelli Contractors LLC for construction of ADA compliant ramps as directed at various locations within the city of Trenton, 2021-1, for a period of 1 year from June 24, 2021 to June 23, 2022, in an amount not to exceed $750,000 through bid 2021-36.
Council President?
Go right ahead.
Okay. This is the contracting firm again. This has been brought to us by Mr. Onetary. I believe this has been the 3rd time. And he has not yet presented the administration, I believe. I asked, is this the only contractor that ever replies to this RFP? Because Mr. Zamparelli Contractors LLC has been the only contractor that has been getting this lucrative contract year after year after year. And I just find it hard to believe out of all these cement companies that I know in this area, and even some who does work for the city, this is the only contractor that gets the contractor, and that gets the job. I don't understand that. And Mr. Onateri, explain, has there been other, so have they been the only contractor that applied and also produces the quality of work at the same time? Because remember, the lowest bidder is not just the only criteria that's used in the selection process. But I just find it very inappropriate, to say the least, for a contractor to get this contract time and time and time again, and then claim that it was through the fair and open process. I don't see how that could be fair.
If I may, Council President?
Yes, go right ahead.
Good evening, Council President. Good evening, Council. This is not something that Councilwoman Vaughn has mentioned. This is something that Councilman Rodriguez have challenged. That is why you see me bring it back to you again. And that is why I refuse to change the date in there, because Councilman Rodriguez was thinking that this is the Diamond. This Zaprali is not the same contractor we had issue with in the past. And Councilman Rodriguez and I believe Councilman Mucha thought these were the same contractors, but they are not. They are different contractors entirely. And that's why I brought this back to you. And as far as who bid on this, yes, we had couple of contractors bid on this contract, but this is the lowest bidder we have. And one of the reasons why this guy is low is because it's a local contractor on New York Avenue. So it's very easy for him to mobilize the people to go out and do the job without having to make a long distance transportation. This is not the same contractor. You are thinking about Diamond contractor.
No. Council President, may I, Mr. Onatiri, you're misstating. First of all, I don't know who brought that to your attention, but I brought it to your attention, and I was not mistaken, because I'm looking at the company right now. Zamparelli is the same contractor as Rippey Concrete, sir, RIPI. They were Rippey Concrete, but they changed their name, their LLC, to Zamparelli Contract. That's what my question was to you. And you keep coming back mixing apples with oranges. But I'm going to be clear to you again. Zamparelli used to be Rippey Concrete. Do you follow that, Mr. Onateri?
Yes, I follow what you're saying, but the contractor we had problem with was Diamond Construction, not Zamparelli.
Again, my issue, I don't know what Mr. Michel's issue was, and nor do I even attempt to speak of what Mr. Rodriguez's concern was with this resolution, but I'm telling you what my concern is, and I'm telling you clearly. Rippey Concrete has been getting this contract for years. Same contract. And then, to try to circumvent, they changed their name to Zamparelli. It's the same company. So my question is, how is this company outbidding or getting the contract year after year after year? I don't believe that they're being, I don't know if this is going out to RFP. I don't know what the selection process is, but it does not pass the sniff test, sir. So I believe this needs to go out to bid so that we could have a fair and open marketplace, so other contractors can get this contract. Rippey, if I go back and pull resolutions, I will assure you that Rippey contractor will come up every time. And now Zamparelli, over the past, I believe, couple of years have changed their name. Are you aware of that, Mr. Onateri, or you're not aware of it?
I am not aware of that. I am aware that the people we have this issue with, the reason why this thing keep coming back, which I went back to research it, was Diamond Construction. And we've never had a problem with Zamparelli.
Again, are you not understanding? Zumbarelli has nothing to do with Diamond. I'm saying that my question is that Rippey is the same contractor, and why are they getting this contract over and over again? That's my question to you.
And Councilwoman, and I did say to you that the reason why is we go by the lowest bidder, and they are lowest bidder because they are not the only one that bid on this contract. We have a couple of contractors. If you want me to send it to you, if you don't have it, I will glad
Well,
to.
you shouldn't be going by just the lowest bidder. You should be going by the lowest responsible bidder, right?
Which is what they are. They are the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why they are local. They are local contract, and this is part of the stuff the council want us to do to deal with the local contractor to give these people something.
Well, what do you mean they're local? They're in Hamilton Township.
I'm sorry?
They're in Hamilton Township.
They're in New York Avenue.
They're in Hamilton Township, sir.
Okay.
Okay, they're in Hamilton Township.
So Councilwoman, let me just say something here. This resolution was voted down. Mr. Conlon, can you put that back up on the screen? The vote. This was voted down. It should not even be back on this docket. I don't know. This is an oversight. It should not be here. Period. It was voted down. So for whatever reason, it was voted down. Councilwoman Caldwell Wilson, go right ahead.
Yes, and Mr. Onatari, they don't look. When I look at these bids, and I'm the one that questioned these bids, I'm the one that questioned their underbidding on this contract. When I look at how much money, and number 6, where it says reconstruct inlet type B bridge state, bicycle safe grade with it, whatever, and 2 of the bids were $4,000. One was $5,500. The other was $2,000, and they were $750. And when I look through the amounts that they have bid, they are way lower than these other bids. So, we don't necessarily have to go with the lowest bidder. It has to be the lowest responsible bidder. And what I smell is coming back for a contract extension for additional funding to complete this job. And I also agree with Councilman Vaughn. We need to pay attention to these contractors when they change the names of the companies, and we need to look back and see historically the work they've done and how many extensions they've had. Thank you.
I am still saying on the record that this resolution was voted down. It should not be on the docket, period. Or it should not be up to vote. So, Mr. Bridges, you need to chime in here because this resolution should not be on this docket.
Council President?
Mr. Bridges.
Yes, Council President.
Mr. Bridges, this resolution was voted down. It should not be on this docket. There is no reason for it to be here except an oversight. This has to come off because it was already voted down. And I don't know what reasons Wally is giving, but they're not sufficient based on the fact that the council voted this down.
What is up on the screen, is that in the docket package that was circulated to everyone? Because what I see on the screen is not what I have in my docket package.
So it was on the screen was what failed on July 8th. It's the same resolution. It's the same resolution under the same bid number, but this actually ran on July 8th and failed under 316. Says if a resolution fails, it can't come back for a year. So that's what Council President is raising.
I would tend to agree because of the council's, not because of anything under the Faulkner Act or legal precedent, but as I understand council's internal rules, if something fails, it can't come back for a year. I would have to confess, I don't know why it failed or what the reasons were, but based on just the 4 corners of this document you have on the screen, Mr. Conlon, under council's rules, it should not come back. So that very well may be an oversight. I would suggest that we punt and pull it for now to ascertain.
It would have to be rebid.
I would suggest it be pulled for now to confirm that it failed for, the vote
No,
on the
it
merits.
failed. It failed.
I would suggest that it be pulled so that I can look at why it failed before, but I tend to agree with Council President's assessment.
Thank you. So,
Council Vice President or Council President?
Mr. Collins, can you put that down to be pulled on Thursday?
Yep, no, I'm
And,
gonna take care of it.
all righty.
Council
Councilman
President?
Harrison. Yes, go right ahead. Go
Yeah.
right ahead, Councilman. Councilwoman
Okay.
Caldwell Wilson, hand is up. Is that previous questions? Or your hand is up for another question?
Yes, I'm finished. I'm finished, yes.
Okay, did you take your hand down? Go right ahead, Councilman Harrison.
Council President,
Yes.
Director Wally explained again that it's not the same company. I'm not sure why he keeps saying it's Diamond Contractors, but we're saying it's somebody else. He said this again and again and again. I'm not sure why we don't get that.
Thank you, Councilman.
We should be doing our homework.
Mr. Collins, we'll move to table this on Thursday, and we may continue
Yes, ma'am.
to
It could just be pulled from the docket.
21-412.
Yes, ma'am. Next will be Resolution 21-412, the resolution authorizing a contract to Riggins Inc. for heating fuel oil number 2 through New Jersey State Contract number T-0077717-food-00392 for a period of 1 year from August 6, 2021 to August 5, 2022, in an amount not to exceed $40,000.
If no one wants to speak to this, we can add it to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have resolution from the Department of Water and Sewer, Mark Lavenberg, Director. First, we have Resolution 21-419, a resolution authorizing a new purchase order for PCMG Inc., acquired by Insight to replace non-executed purchase order number 19-7185, amount of $34,700.49 for a payment of reverse 911 service for the Water Department, EWW.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead.
I have a note here that we needed a legal memo attached to this.
Mr. Conlon, do you know why we needed a legal memo attached from your notes?
Yeah, I have my noted that a memo was due from the law department about staggering the contract from 21. See something? No, I didn't actually put down why the law department had to give you a memo. I just said the law department for the memo is due, and then I actually went into my notes on the ordinances. So I just noted that a law department.
It's being amended, so we were supposed to get something. Yeah.
Mr. Bridges.
Yes.
Do you remember the memo that they wanted?
Where are we right now on the agenda so I can look at my notes
We're
as
at
well?
21-419. It's a resolution authorizing a new purchase order for a non-executed purchase order due to the change in the name of the company.
Yeah, I thought we discussed that. I looked at that when I first saw this and wanted to confirm basically what I don't have in here a memo, but what my legal review of this was to confirm that it was a legitimate arm's length change of ownership and change of company versus whether it was a subsidiary or a doing business as in an effort to circumvent the bidding laws as well as local public finance laws. I thought I articulated that at our meeting. If we need a paragraph memo just saying that that's been looked at from that perspective, make sure that it was a bona fide acquisition and transfer. That's something I could get out to you very, very easily. But I remember discussing that. If you want
We did
something in
request
writing,
that.
as you want something in writing, just you have that for everyone's benefit and comfort. I'm happy to provide that first thing in the morning.
Okay, because we did request that. Thank you.
Yeah, I do have notes that we did discuss it. If it was oversight in terms of providing a written memo, that's my apologies. I will have that out to you. But it's something that I looked at prior to our conversations about this. Obviously, if an entity is awarded a contract by way of an RFP and by way of a scoring process, that company thereafter can't, be assumed by a competing company or by a company that wasn't awarded in an effort to do an end around the bidding laws. And what we looked at from the legal perspective was confirmed that it was legitimate transfer of ownership, transfer of name, and that we were not running afoul or contravention of any bidding laws. I'll provide that tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How'd you like to proceed with that one, ma'am?
We can
I would
add it to the consent agenda based on the memo.
provided the memos provided. Absolutely.
And Council President, that does it for the resolutions. Would you like me to go into the ordinances for first reading and introduction?
Yes. Yes.
This first ordinance being considered for first reading and introduction tomorrow is ordinance 21-020, an ordinance amending the North Clinton Avenue redevelopment plan.
Any conversation? Is there anyone wanting to speak to 21-020?
Yeah, this is, I believe, for the
Habitat for Humanity or whatever.
I believe this is Mr. Sorry, his name is escaping me right now.
Algernon Ward.
Thank you, Algernon Ward, my trumpet friend, for the back half of his project, ma'am. So, for the 6th Regiment, I believe. 6th Regiment, United States Colored Troops. Okay. Next we have ordinance 21-022, an ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property identified in the city tax map as 69 and 69 Aft Bond Street, block 8403, lot 65 and 66, pursuant to NJSA 40 Cap A 12-13B5 to Mana International Corporation for the sum of $9,000. Questions?
Move forward.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-023, an ordinance amending Section 2-29 redevelopment functions and Section 2-34 Division of Planning and Article 7 Department of Housing and Economic Development and Chapter 2 Administration of the Code of the City of Trenton.
So move on.
Council President.
Yes, go right ahead.
Who recommended this? And I don't see it signed by.
I did.
What's that?
I did. It's a resolution that
There's no name on it.
Well, and also just to recall, this was actually the product of an executive session with the 3 attorneys, Mr. Rod, Mr. Varity, and Mr. Valenti, after the settlement after the dismissal of the lawsuit. Just to remind everybody that this was discussed in an executive session material. And this was written by Mr. Renaud.
And unfortunately, Councilman Harrison, I can answer questions because I was purposely excluded from that executive session to the extent there are any questions with respect to form and legality.
I won't be supporting that. Thank you.
21-024.
Yes, this is 21-024, a bond ordinance of the City of Trenton, the County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, providing as part of the dissolution of the Parking Authority of the City of Trenton for the assumption of certain outstanding obligations of such authority issued to finance such authority's parking system and authorized the assumption and/or issuance by the City of Trenton not to exceed $20,545,000 bonds or notes for such purpose.
You may continue.
Next, we have ordinance 21-025, an ordinance of the City of Trenton, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, dissolving the parking authority of the City of Trenton pursuant to NJSA 40 Cap A 5 Cap A -20.
No questions to that. Mr. Conlon, and to the we will move straight into the public comments for items on the docket and the docket only.
Ladies and gentlemen, the public portion of the public portion of the conference session is open. You can only speak to the docket items. Open public portion will be on Thursday. This is a workshop meeting, and this is for the purposes of discussing the items that are on the agenda. That includes the resolutions and the ordinances and anything on the docket. So, do I have any members do I have any members of the public who wish to be heard for the public portion segment of tonight's meeting?
Will you ask the question again, Mr. Conlon?
Yes, ma'am. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is second call for public portion for tonight's docket items only. You can speak to any item on the docket review. If you'd like to be heard, please either raise your hand or speak out. Council President, we have Ms. Sherry Garrett.
Go right ahead, Ms. Garrett. Is there a problem?
Ms. Garrett?
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. You think you got something unmuted. Thank you, Council President McBride and the rest of the council body. Yeah, this is an extensive agenda of dockets, but I'll go ahead through it. 21-259. Oh, that was table, sorry. 21-391. How does this resolution affect the calendar year 2020-2021 and us being paid 2 pockets or trenches of transitional aid and not being able to and the non-payment of the pension premium for year 2021? So I agree that we need to come out of the MOU, but by passing this at this date and time, how does that affect that? You know, the change from the fiscal year to the calendar year and all the so-called benefits that came with that, with the transition. For making that change that was presented to the city. 21-392, a resolution urging the governor, the state to restore the capital. I don't know why we keep going back and forth. I know it was $10,000. I totally agree. 40, 45, $10,000 is not a lot of money, but here we go again. You know, it's not enough money, but as I stated prior with the 21 budget, there was no budget cuts because, you know, we're talking about not increasing property taxes, but if we continue to keep passing these inflated annual budgets that we do for costs, because our cost is not being cut and there's not enough revenue to meet the demand of the costs of the cost that we're generating. 21-425, resident city of Trenton and County Mercer, author to make an application. Finance board, no point of that. The residents competitive contract in lieu of public bidding. Right now, big Fortune 500 companies, they don't use the standard or traditional telecommunications. They use web-based telecommunication or platforms that is very efficient. And Google has one. So I don't understand why we keep coming back to these telecommunication companies. It sounds like this is more political than beneficial to the city, where it's benefiting a certain people in the administration than it is benefiting the overall operation of the municipality. 21-394 should. Okay, so again, with the American Rescue Act, there has to be an action plan put in place, or the plan that council is continue to speak about before any funds are to be administered or applied. And also in the action plan, it has to break down each area category a little more in depth than what the mayor did on such and such a day 2 or 3 months ago. And it has to show how that money is going to revitalize those different categories that's going to revitalize. And also those funds has to be confirmed about the number of people that each one of those categories will affect to revitalize the city for whatever, revitalize the city. So we keep going back and forth about this American Rescue Act. In regards to 21394, if Ewing Township wants that corridor, the piping underneath that Olden Avenue, then we have to increase the rates for Ewing Township. So if he wants to sue for Trenton to make those repairs, then that's going to cost his constituents, their ratables has to go up. And two, why I thought there was an increase at Trenton Water Works, where that's what the purpose of the increase was, to handle to deal with these matters. So I'm not understanding why we are using the American Rescue Act where that's operational. So I was from my understanding that American Rescue Act was not supposed to go into the budget. That's illegal. It's not the city's money. Okay, this didn't come through ratables, so it cannot even be seen it's in the budget. And also a lot of these resolutions that you're putting forth, I see some of them, they show where the money's coming out of. It's going to be credited or coming show in the general ledger where it's going to be. It's been certified that the funds are there, but some of these resolutions does not say that, and that's a problem. The planning board, again, I agree with the planning board that they should not be overstepping for us to redevelopment. From my understanding, Trenton Housing Authority, as I also mentioned before, is a redevelopment authority as well. They have the experience in doing that. So I know Choice Neighborhood, they're supposed to be doing development from Brunswick Avenue to Martin Luther King Boulevard over to Calhoun Street, from Darling Homes to the Battle Monument. So I haven't really heard any talk about that. I'm not sure City Council is aware of that, but that's supposed to be in the works right now. Resolution of settle of the city. Okay, that's not that. Okay, I'm almost done. I'm wrapping it up. Okay. Again, I already stated about the American Rescue Act and having a action plan. And I know this because, like I said, I know the state of New Jersey, they didn't really know how to put an action plan together. So they hired an outside firm that specializes in that for disaster situations. But it sounds like if the city council has not received an action plan, obviously the administration doesn't know. The administration doesn't know how to prepare one, possibly. I think I am wrapped. Oh, and the animal shelter, 425, for 6 months, for close to $200,000 for 6 months. I'd like to know how many animals are they rescuing. My question is this shelter or this company or whoever is going to do this, Trenton Animal Rocks, is located on Olden Avenue. Are these animals just for Trenton? Animals coming out of Trenton, the city of Trenton, or animals totaling Mercer County? Because if these animals that are being rescued or donated or dropped off are coming from Ewing or any other municipality, then they should be part of this cost. They should be paying part of this. Okay, because this is, to me, extensive for $200,000 when there are the SPA, the SPA, and there are other organizations to do this that will help with Trenton with what they say in this resolution they're going to do for these animals, because that's a lot of money for 6 months. open budget resolution for heat. Oh, the heating fuel. A lot of things. And I'll wrap it up. One other thing is I noticed that we're asking for like 411 and 412. There's no location. There's no location. You don't tell the location, even though this was pool 411, 411 is being pooled. There's no list of locations and exactly at each location how much work is going to be done there for how much cost. That breakdown, those details should be in these resolutions when they're asking for money. And I noticed that we're back to this situation again. There's these resolutions are contracts, and there's not enough information or detail in them. And I'm just going to wrap it up. The city owned property for $9,000. I like to know if that's commercial or residential. And again, the city, the business, the administration has spent most of the 2021 budget. So we are only in September and we got to go to December. And how is it that you are asking for a 6-month budget where half of the money that was allocated for 2021 has been paid out, has been charged out? So I'm not really getting why this is not being addressed. Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, does anybody else wish to be heard for the public portion on tonight's docket? This is for docket items only. Ladies and gentlemen, this is second call for docket items only. Members of the public. Do I have a motion for council? Oh, I have a hand. Hold on 1 second. Let's see where this is coming from. Jay Smart. Council President, Ms. Smart.
Go right ahead.
Ms. Smart,
Go
you've
right
been
ahead, Ms.
recognized.
Smart.
Jay Smart, you've been recognized by the City Council. Public portion, docket items only, please. If you can unmute yourself, then speak. Hello? Ms. Smart? Ms. Smart
Hi,
has.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
There you go.
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you state your name and address?
Yes.
Okay. Jeanette Smart, Oliver Avenue, Trenton, New Jersey, 209. My concern is, and I'm not as astute as Mr. Rett. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I want to make reference to something that Councilwoman Vaughn was stating when it came to the budget and the taxes being raised in the future for the residents here. Can somebody give some clarification on what that was implying? I do remember that taxes are not supposed to be raised if we go into the 12-month calendar year, but it seems like there is a controversy with that and the non-use of the Rescue Act money for certain things that are being brought up in the general budget. So if somebody could give me some clarification on what Councilwoman Vaughn keeps referring to, because this is not the first time she brought it up tonight. She's brought it up in past meetings as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. If we could send her an email later on.
Ms. Smart, you can email me. You can email your question to me at clerk, that's CLERK at TrentonNJ.org. I'd be happy to circulate it around and see about an answer.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, does anybody else wish to be heard for the public portion of tonight's Trenton City Council meeting?
I move to make a motion to close public comment.
I have a motion to close by Council President McBride. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Caldwell Wilson. All in favor?
Aye.
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 One more.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none opposed, the public portion is so ordered. To be closed, Council President, it is time for civic comments by council members.
Council President? Council President?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Yes. I had sent a resolution to Mr. Collin, and I wanted to walk it on.
No, and I told him it wouldn't be permitted. You will follow the procedure for the next council meeting.
Oh, okay.
All righty, I think that's fair.
All right, that's fair.
All righty, so if you if you guys would like to suspend civic comment and make your comments on Thursday, that would be a good thing. Can I have I'm making a motion to suspend civic comment.
It would technically be a motion to adjourn, actually, because after that, there's nothing left.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Does anybody, I have a second, I have a motion to adjourn by Council President McBride. I have a second by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson to adjourn. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
One more.
Aye.
We got 4.
Aye.
I got 5. All in favor? Any opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned at 8:19 p.m. We will be reconvening on September 16th. Just to note one announcement, the budget hearing was adjourned tonight from September 30th, 2021 to October 5th, 2021. We're putting out something in the newspaper as by way of legal article, as well as putting something up on the website. Thank you for your attendance tonight. Look forward to you seeing you on September 16th. Good night, ma'am.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Shut it
I
down,
am,
Mr. Rivera.
just stopping the recording first, taking care of some of the bells and whistles, and then I'm going to close the meeting out. Good night, everybody.